Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. My name is Sam Shalhoub, and it's time for your Daily Dispatch Special Edition. To millions of music lovers, our guest has carved a permanent place in rock and roll history. To further millions, our guest is the nation's most outspoken proponent of our First and Second Amendment rights. He also serves as the national spokesman for Hunter Nation. It's my pleasure to welcome the one and the only Mr. Ted Nugent. Ted, welcome to the show.
You know, Sam, I do feel welcome, and welcome to the man cave, cuckoo's nest, arsenal of democracy here in the wild Republic of Texas. God bless you, man. Thanks for having me on.
God bless you as well, too, Ted. Thanks for coming on. So we're just going to jump right in, Ted, and no holes barred. There's so much going on in our country right now, from the election integrity to the Second Amendment being under attack. Where do you see this going long and short term?
Well, you know, I could be fooled based on the people I hang around with, my family, my band, my crew, my neighbors, my hunting buddies, the people I guide and outfit on hunting trips every year, the people that stop me at the gas station, at the sushi bar, at the feed mill. There is a majority of conservative, constitutionalists, conservationists, families that still genuflect at the altar of the original family values that created the greatest quality of life in the world. This is the good. There's always good, bad, and ugly. So I'm going to emphasize the good, which I do every day. And thank you for the opportunity to bring this to the world, because this technology can also be a curse, but it can also be a platform by which we can get truth, logic, and common sense across. And even though I'm just a guitar player, I'm a husband and a father and a grandfather and a musician and a conservationist and a hellraiser. Most importantly, I'm a hellraiser because I am a we the people. You know, I'm so radical, Sam, that I dare to experiment in self-government. What an extremist I am. But my point is that everywhere I go, people know exactly what I've stood up for, unapologetically and aggressively since the 1960s. And again, God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, 10 Commandments, Golden Rule, Declaration of Independence, work ethic, the man in the arena, the entrepreneurial spirit, the risk takers, the adventurers, law and order. That list of the greatest ingredients for happiness and life, liberty, and pursuit thereof is literally considered toxic and violates the community standards of our government, academia, big tech, and the media. Stop and think of that. Oh, by the way, this just in, Sam. This just in. Men can't get pregnant. This is a bizarro world we're living in, but the positive is that we're fighting harder and stronger than ever, and we're recruiting the heretofore recently brainwashed that will just knee-jerkingly call President Donald Trump an arrogant bastard. Why would he be an arrogant bastard? Well, he's an arrogant bastard. Well, what about securing the border? That's an arrogant bastard. Well, what about the fact that he saved us trillions of dollars in global contracts where Americans didn't benefit at all, but we benefited the polluters and the genocidal Isn't it a good idea that Donald Trump got us out of those contracts and saved us? Is that not a good idea? Arrogant bastard. The enemies of truth, logic, and common sense are literally, I guess they're members of the Michael Moore fan club. They're against hygiene. I mean, these Whoopi Cushion Goldberg, I mean, the people against the things we believe in are so glaringly strange. They literally will make an argument. Stop. There's so many examples, Sam. So we've covered the good. There's a lot of constitutional, conservatives, God, family, country, law and order people. But think, there's a segment of our population, I don't know what the percentage is. I don't believe it's more than 10, 15%, because the media controls the megaphone, and it's not honest, it's not accurate. There is a segment of our population, Sam, God help us, who will argue that a man pretending to be a woman can go into the women's locker room and rape the women. They can pretend to be a man and go into a woman's prison and rape the women. There are people at colleges across this country that are celebrating the decapitation of children on October 7th. I'm a pretty imaginative guy. I not only wrote Wango Tango, I meant it. So I have an unlimited creativity, but my brain is taxed painfully to think that people actually believe this evil, that the child sex trafficking orgy at the hands of our government people. Recently, another Catholic priest was caught molesting little boys, and the media won't promote it or expose it because they're complicit. So my battle cry every day, I do media every day, Sam, and my battle cry is, does your mayor know what you believe in? Does your mayor know you exist? Does your chief of police and your state trooper commander and your sheriff know that you support self-defense and that you won't let paroled monsters into your family business with duffel bags, filling them full of your hard-earned productivity and destroying family? Does your law enforcement official, does your governor, does your senator, your congressman know your family's name? Because here's the condemnation of all time, Sam. Worse than the Democrats, it's hard to imagine, the party of the Klan. Worse than the liberals, worse than Marxists, worse than communists, worse than all that toxicity, apathy. Americans, I'm not into politics. Well, then you did this. You invited this snake into the White House that he didn't win the election. Barack Obama was not born in America. He married his boyfriend. Those are not their daughters. They're the daughters of someone else. And how cruel, to what depth of cruelty can a man subject two young girls to lie to the world that they're the daughters of Barack and Mike? And if anybody wants to debate me on that, call 1-800-NUMBNUT, and I'll have Michael Moore explain why you don't need personal hygiene. I mean, we are living in the planet of the cuckoo's nest, Sam, and nobody will debate me, because the last guy that tried, I still got skull tissue in the cleats of my steel-toed work boots as I crush his fantasies. So I'm a hellraiser. By the way, take a good look. If I had some sleep, I'd be downright handsome, but you have to deal with what's left. My point is, I've already shot my bow this morning. I got 2 new Colt Pythons. I've been down to the range. Beautiful, beautiful American cold blue steel. My wife and I train every day because it's fun and because we don't let invaders on our property. I have a sign on my gate that says, invade and die. Now, people will think that's radical versus Uncle Sam inviting terrorists from around the country to bring fentanyl into America to kill hundreds of thousands. What's more radical? Hundreds of thousands of dead Americans or me protecting my property? Think of the mindlessness, the soullessness of the people that are against Ted Nugent. If you're against Ted Nugent, you are not only the devil's advocate, you are the devil. So I'm bringing you positive remedies by communicating with people who we voted and put in place to represent us. And if they don't know what you believe in, then they're not only not representing you, they're representing the drag queen story hour, where big, fat, perverted men get to twerk their balls to little boys and girls in the town square. You did that by not being assertive and experimenting in self-government. Case closed.
Well, Ted, I couldn't agree with you more. There's, you touched on the mainstream media, and that's something I wanted to bring up. So the majority of people seem to think, and this is the populace at large, that conservatives are in the minority. And I beg to differ. I believe with all my heart that the majority of people in America are conservative. And if it wasn't for the mainstream media propagating this BS, people would know that. So it's exactly what you said, and I agree with you. Conservatives, in my opinion, are by far the majority. What do you think?
Well, there's no question. Again, I walked the not so mean streets of this country. I just did my 6,934th. That's 6,934 concerts. I just did it. I did it up in Oklahoma with unbelievable musicians, unbelievable families. We're not doing stadiums like the Stones. How about the Stones? Yikes. Anyhow, but I connect with, I'll use the term shit kickers, working hard, playing hard Americans that take risks, make sacrifice, earn their own way, live within their means, save for a rainy day, and help those who are truly in need of help. Now, what I just said once again is considered radical and violating the community standards of Facebook. So my point is, there's two dynamics here. Number one, that's the majority of American families who are the engine of democracy and the engine of this greatest quality of life. Unfortunately, when I first was accused of being a conservative, I went, conservative? Like my dad? I don't think I'm like my dad, but I am like my dad in actual policy and lifestyle, responsibility, accountability, law and order, work ethic, protecting, providing for my hunting lifestyle, conservation, balancing the land for productivity of quality air, soil, and water through habitat management, and balancing the herd every natural season of harvest. I could go on. But along with the conservative values is it I'll use the term morph, but it declined into a tie-adjusting conservative. You know, a Mitt Romney, where we want to compromise and we want to bring a doily to a knife fight. Well, I bring an A10 warthog to a poker game. We've compromised ourselves into a final toilet flush of the American culture of goodwill and decency. So if you're a conservative, but you don't vote, you're a commie. You're helping. Nancy Pelosi thanks you for not voting your conservative values and not raising hell for conservative values at your school board to get the pornography and the child molestation out of the schools. If you're not participating, Joe Biden considers you an ally. And what a horrible, horrible embarrassment that must be. So I've always battle cried that you have to be a hellraiser. I am, and people, Glenn Beck has told me this, Donald Trump told me this, Don Jr. told me this. My hell-raising accountability, experimenting in self-government, following the self-evident truth of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule, I am exactly what the Founding Fathers wanted every American to be. Suspicious of all authority and hardcore, aggressively demanding constitutional accountability from my elected employees. Well, Nugent's a radical. You're damn right I am, because I'm not French and I'm not a sheep. So, Sam, thank you for allowing these truth, logic, and common sense to come across, because I'm not alone. And again, because I've been such a big mouth, again, experimenting in self-government, demanding constitutional accountability, everybody knows what I stand for. That's why the enemies lie viciously about me. All their attacks are false accusations. And I won't even go down the list. But do you know how proud I am that the Whoopi Cushion Goldberg fan club just goes berserk? They abandon their life to lie and hate Ted Nugent. I have literally caused liberals to abandon life to lie about me. So not only do the best people love me, but the worst people in the world are in such a maniacal scramble to counter me behind the computer because they're incapable of debating me. I scare the living hell out of them, and I just couldn't be more proud. Meanwhile, I'm just going to go shoot my bow and arrow, eat some venison, play with my dogs, and kiss Mrs. Nugent. I mean, my life is so wonderful in spite of the toxicity all around us, so we can improvise, adapt, and overcome. I'm going to train today with the U.S. Marines. I'm going to have a brass rainbow and a barbecue with Marines today. So I have improvised, adapted, and overcome, and I stand my ground. And even though the music industry attempted to destroy me, conservatives saw it happen, and they went, you know, Ted Nugent represents me when he speaks. Ted Nugent represents me when he's on CNN and Fox or wherever. I'm gonna support him. So I have my own Real America's Voice podcast. We have a 35-year nonprofit children's charity, Ted Nugent Camp for Kids. We sell it out. Parents bring their young boys and girls to our camp every year in 4 different states. Shemaine and I know that we're doing God's work. We're wearing the armor of God for times such as this. So the haters of Ted Nugent have a First Amendment right, and I encourage them to use it, because we need to know what evil looks like and sounds like. So I want to thank everybody, including you, Sam, for supporting not what Ted Nugent believes in, but self-evident truth, common sense, logic, science when it comes to hunting, fishing, and trapping. So we're not alone. We are the majority, but boy, we've got a cattle prod. In fact, I'll do something right now that has proven to cattle prod the conservatives. HunterNation.org. HunterNation.org is an organization, nonprofit, non-political. We can't tell you who to vote for, but we promote God, family, country, law, and order. You know who that is, and you know who that isn't. HunterNation.org. Look what we've done in many instances in Louisiana recently. We finally got these apathetic families to vote their conscience, and we won conservatives in a landslide. HunterNation.org. That's the fist in this culture war, spiritual war fight, I promise you.
Well, and I was going to bring that up later in the show, but I'm glad that you brought it up now. And you talked about these politicians and you referred to Democrats and Republicans. Well, to me, I don't give a shit, excuse my language, whether it's Democrat or Republican. I watch a person's actions.
Yes.
And if they're conservative, their actions will show that. I don't care what they call themselves. To me, I had an old pastor years ago tell me, Sam, it's about what a person does, not what they say. And I agree. And I think that's, you put your money where your mouth is, and that's wonderful. So in terms of, you've been a proponent of the Second Amendment and the Constitution as long as I can remember, and you've been outspoken about it. I've been wondering, have you been attacked, canceled, or attempted to be canceled or debanked because of it?
You think?
Well, I know it's a pretty obvious question, but I thought I'd get it out there.
I was Donald Trump before he came down the escalator. I have been so attacked because I believe in self-defense. I'll never forget, I would do radio interviews as a teenager with the Amboy Dukes. And I've always been high energy because I've always been clean and sober, and because I have a passion for the music. I want to be Chuck Berry when I grow up. I want to be Little Richard someday, except without the wig. I want to be a fire-breathing soul music, rhythm and blues, rock and roll collaborator with these unbelievably gifted work ethic musicians I've been so humbled and honored to work with for the last 67 years. I still keep in touch with my original drummer, Tom Noel, from 1959 in Detroit.
Wow.
The point being is that these interviewers, they were all dopers. They were all high. The eyelids were falling. They were stumbling to form syllables. I guess it was the precursor to Michael Moore. And they would ask me, they wanted to know what kind of drug what are you doing for all this energy? They thought I was going to mention, psilocybin or something, or peyote. I don't think so. Comfortably numb is actually uncomfortably dumb. I'm convinced of it. I've watched these great human beings swan dive into stupidity with their drugs and alcohol and die absolutely unnecessarily. It breaks my heart. Keith Moon wanted me to get high. I said, I don't think so. Jimi Hendrix wanted me to take stuff. I said, I don't, no way. No, thanks. Bon Scott wanted me to get drunk. I said, I don't think so. I'm cocked, locked, and ready to rock the Glock around the clock. Dr. Spock, I got to clear the whole flock. I got to be tuned in to pick up this amazing music that was all around me. So the interviewers would expect me to say that I get my energy from some kind of chemical. And I went, no, I went hunting with my dad this last weekend. And boy, if you really apply yourself to the mystical flight of the air, and they'd stop me and they go, you like murder animals? I go, hell, what does that mean? You haven't heard about the barbecue? I mean, what do you mean? These people were out of their mind. That was the beginning of the lie of animal rights, the scam of animal rights. And then when I talk about the range, aim small, miss small, joys of marksmanship and training with my law enforcement friends, they go, well, guns are, man, that's like the reason there's all this crime. And I go, what in the hell are you talking about? So you don't believe that your precious gift of life from God is your responsibility to defend and protect? Really? Maybe you can explain that to your listeners. You don't think you have the right to defend your life. I got to hear this. And I wasn't a debater. I didn't know about debating. I was shocked to hear that level of stupidity, to condemn what I consider two perfect things a man can do, mankind. My wife, my daughters, my granddaughters, they all have discipline to the Zen, the martial arts of the mystical flight of the arrow, and it cleanses the soul. It inspires and stimulates a higher level of awareness and accountability, marksmanship, aim small, miss small, breathing, heart and soul, hand-eye coordination, trigger squeeze, that discipline of marksmanship and safe gun handling. And they were attempting to condemn me for two perfect things that I did. So my Detroit cockiness, boy, love the Motor City cockiness, was able to just slap them silly on their own radio shows. And because the majority, they thought the majority of the people were stoners and they were anti-gun and anti-hunting. No way. The majority of the listeners were pro self-defense, pro hunting. They like guns, they like to shoot, and they like to eat venison. So again, comfortably numb is actually uncomfortably dumb, because the more stoned and drunk you are, the dumber you are. Keith Richards notwithstanding. All right, I'll give you that. I spent a weekend with Keith Richards once, and I wish we could have had a conversation. But anyhow, so I've always been attacked for making simple statements like men can't get pregnant and men shouldn't be allowed to destroy women's athletic records. Who could possibly think otherwise? And those would be the uncomfortably dumb, brainwashed, soulless, tyrannical, communist monster punks that support the snake Biden gangsters. So yeah, and that's why I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, I've sold 40 million records. I've done 6,934 concerts. I'm Ted Nugent, for God's sakes. But Grandmaster Flash is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is hysterical. This is funnier than Richard Pryor. These people are out of their minds. So, and again, I don't have sour grapes for me, but I think that Grand Funk Railroad should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Styx and REO Speedwagon should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think Harvey Mandel from Chicago. We should pray for Harvey Mandel. He's got cancer, a phenomenal guitar player. There's so many. Triumph from Canada. How could Grandmaster Flash, who wouldn't know rock and roll if it landed on his nose and spun around till flames came out of his ears? This guy is anti-rock and roll. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Triumph isn't. This is hysterical. It's, if Triumph isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Patti Smith is, then I must be Caitlyn Jenner's boy toy. So the whole world is tipsy-turvy, and they've always attacked me for my self-evident truth, logic, and common sense, that guns are good, that engineered recidivism is the core of the explosion of violent crime, not to mention Uncle Sam importing jihadists from Nigeria and the Sudan and Somalia and communist China. Uncle Sam importing rapists and murderers and child sex traffickers, but somehow my new Colt Python is responsible for the crime. We literally have the ultimate numbnuts, and it's personified by the lawfare against the great Donald Trump, by a court system that is clearly anti-justice, anti-American, anti-good over evil. Our court system is down the toilet, and so is the FBI, so is the DEA, so is the ATF, so is the DOD, so is the DOJ, so is the FDA and the CDC and the USD. They're all criminal, corrupt gangster organizations, and they can kiss my ass.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Ted. I am sober myself, and I have a similar story as Mike Lindell. And it took quite a bit. And
congratulations. Good for you.
Thank you. And that's why I wanted to bring up Mike. We're both on with Mike Lindell. That's how we met.
Yep.
And I want to know what you think about what he's doing in terms of election integrity and what have you.
There is nothing more important for the experiment in self-government, freedom, quality of life, than election integrity. There is nothing more important. Right now, we are living under the self-inflicted curse of a Joe Biden that did not win the 2020 election. And I'm canceled all the time. Well, what evidence do you have? what evidence can't you see?
Right.
Millions and millions of illegal ballots with the same signature by dogs and cats, non-existent human beings, dead people, and non-citizens. Here's how racist I am. I'm such a racist. I believe this is so racist. I'm surprised I'm not wearing sheets. Only living American citizens get one vote each. Wow, racist.
Right.
This is literally cuckoo's nest stuff. The last election was fraud. Mike Lindell is doing God's work, because if we don't get honest and accurate representation of living legal citizens of the United States of America, then, well, we don't have to guess what might happen. We're living it right now. Joe Biden is flush. Joe Biden and whoever's pulling his strings. Too, Sam, I'm not sure that really is Joe Biden, because I've seen Joe Biden for the last 50 years, and that ain't him. And I'm well aware what Earl Scheib and what the plastic surgeons can pull off. But I think we should consider that might not be Joe Biden, because even though he displays the feebleness and the mindlessness and the soullessness of what Joe Biden has always represented, it sure don't look like him. But anyhow, yes, Mike Lindell is doing God's work, as are you, which, by the way, so is Jesse Waters, so is Sean Hannity, so is the great Dan Bongino, Joe Pags on the radio, Michael Berry on the radio, Lars Larson on the radio, Mark in Dallas. There's so many conservative voices out there, but the biggest megaphones, all you have to do is watch The View. If you can stand it, you should probably fast. You'll start to taste your last meal if you watch The View. I've tried and I've watched it for a minute. It only takes a few segments to realize how evil, how hateful, how wrong, how dishonest, how anti-American, how anti-freedom that megaphone is. And that's the manifestation of an overall cultural deprivation that you see on so much media. All government is untrustworthy. Dr. Fauci represents the devil. So I do this every day, and so do you. Thank you. But Mike Lindell is a hero. I have a Real America's Voice Spirit Campfire. My wife, Shemaine, has an amazing Faith and Freedom, Real America's Voice. I hope people will tune into it. I think it's realamericasvoice.com. But she has guests on, and Mike supports us, and we support him. In fact, right now, Sam, I might mention, everybody should go to mypillow.com and buy some Mike Lindell MyPillow products. If you have someone you love, Mother's Day, graduation, just to say I love you to somebody, buy stuff from Mike Lindell. That is the ultimate middle finger to the snakes that infest our government right now. MyPillow.com. That's how you fight back, by supporting those that support the beliefs that we all believe in.
Amen, Ted. MyPillow.com. Use the discount code SAM, right?
I would. Yeah.
Okay, last question, Ted. Given where we are here today in America, what advice would you give fellow freedom-loving Americans?
Engage. You have got to let your mayor, your school board, the people that work for us have to know what we believe in. A perfect example, Sam, was when Kyle Rittenhouse was charged with murder, when the judge and the world saw that Kyle Rittenhouse shot a guy that was about to kill him. So the judge determined, in spite of the footage that was clear and unambiguous, irrefutable self-defense, that they still bankrupted him and charged him with murder for not letting somebody kill him. And if that was a perfect example where I called my mayor out, as if I need to, my chief of police, my state trooper commander, my sheriff, my governor, my senator, my congressman, my reps, I said, you have to stand with Kyle Rittenhouse. Don't ever let a court charge someone with murder who defended his life on film. Dan Perry and the subways of New York. So you're not allowed to stop someone from killing people? Dan Perry in Austin, a guy leveled a rifle at him, so he shot him and stopped him from killing him, and he was charged with murder, and he's in prison for not letting someone kill him? This is, if you don't impress upon all your elected employees, they're not elected officials, we're electing officials. They're elected employees. And if your mayor doesn't know what you stand for, he's laughing in your face. If your chief of police, your state trooper commander, your sheriff, your senator, your congressman, your governor, Sam, this is the deciding factor in whether we have a constitutional republic or we turn into Cuba or San Francisco. I don't know which is worse. If they don't know what you believe in, self-defense, tax accountability, environmental accountability, law and order, the end of engineered recidivism. Do you know that 100% of violent crime currently is perpetrated by people who have been in jails and the system keeps letting them out to rape, murder, carjack, kidnap, child molest, stab, shoot, bludgeon, cold cock. They keep letting them out. I don't believe in repeat offenders. I believe in dead offenders. And if somebody carjacks me, I'm cutting them in half. And I would recommend two things. Let everybody who works for you in government know exactly what your family believes in. I'd call them at least once a month. We need to make up for lost time. We're in the scramble for damage control because so many Americans weren't participating in quality control. If they'd always known what we believed in, Joe Biden would be in prison, Hillary Clinton would be in prison, and Barack Obama and Eric Holder and Barack's boyfriend Mike, they'd all be behind bars. Jan Horiachi, who killed Vicky Weaver. He killed Vicky Weaver. Why isn't he in jail? Lon Horiachi is his name. The ATF that killed the Arkansas airport manager, they broke into his house and killed him because of paperwork? Who are these jackbooted thugs? So here's, my fellow Americans, engage. Be a member of Gun Owners of America, gunowners.org. Go to gunowners.org. Be a member of Gun Owners of America and the National Rifle Association. Learn to handle a firearm because they're coming to get you. And if you're unarmed and helpless, good luck with that. Well, not everybody should carry a gun. Well, all the victims today didn't. So there's a lot of things that we need to do, but we need to raise hell. We need to monitor what our children are taught in schools. In fact, the best bet is to get them the hell out of those propaganda ministries and take them home and teach them something meaningful. I never went to college. I was too busy learning stuff. So there's a lot of things we can do. But again, if they have NFL tickets and Taylor Swift tickets and a six-pack, the comfortably numb is actually uncomfortably dumb, and they are bending over like sheep, allowing this tyrannical horror to continue in America today. And again, I'll tell you too, go to tednugent.com. You see that flag behind me. It says, I will not comply. I signed, autographed another 1,000 of those. And if you go to tednugent.com, and if you put that on your front door, the hippies won't even come into your neighborhood. The point is that there's a lot we can do, but all the problems that are destroying America are a result of people not standing up. So now more than ever, tell people you have to vote for Donald Trump. You have to tell your local judges and your courts and your law enforcement, we know what this anti-justice court system is doing to Donald Trump in New York City. Everybody sees what's happening. That's not justice. That's not fair. That's not America. So let's turn up the heat. Yeah, we can still have great moments around the campfire, literally and figuratively. We can still have great musical celebrations and get together with family and friends. But we should fight every day, at least part of the day, telling our elected employees that it's God family, country. Men can't get pregnant. You can't have drag queen story hours by perverts to little boys and girls. Cut it out. Put an end to this scourge, and we the people can do that.
Amen, Ted. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for standing up for America. I personally believe we will win and we
Yep.
will get our country back.
We have to. Sam, thank you for doing what you do. God bless you. Congratulations with your big mouth, We the People celebration. And thanks for having me on here. I'll look forward to meeting you someday, buddy.
I'm looking forward to it, Ted. Thanks so much.
All right, man. Live it up. God bless America. Real America.
Amen, brother.